Parent-Child Neuropsychotherapy protocol. Maybe just a little bit of a global view of what is this protocol all about?
Yeah, so I got my training working with children, and the program that I worked for, even though it was a children and families program, we only saw the child. Yeah, we met with the parent, but I started to realize that my relationship with the child once a week or twice a week for an hour a week, a week or 2 or 3 hours a week, wasn't going to be enough if there was turmoil at home. Mm-hmm. Not because parents wanted it to be that way, but because, in a nutshell, I thought that the ones that really needed my 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week were the parents, so that they can then make that time and multiply it and turn it into 5, 6, 10, 20 hours a week of brain-based therapeutic interventions with the children. Mm. This is kind of maximizing, becoming very efficient, effective with time. That's the engineer in me. And so I started to, instead of working with the child, work with the parents, which is something that we were not supposed to do, but I did it anyways. And my supervisors could see the difference, because the relationship was not with me. They would be great with me, but they didn't live with me. And so even though it's a parent-child protocol, in essence, I work with everybody in the family. Mm. And of course, most of my clients will come to me because a child is having problems, but because I hardly work one-on-one with the child unless it's a teenager that has risky behavior, I start meeting with the parents for coaching, and pretty soon I'm doing individual with each parent, and then couples, and then I pepper it with parenting intervention. So I really do the entire family.
A real systems perspective there.
Yes, yes.
I mean, everybody who listens to us knows that complex systems are what we try and encourage people to understand is the way life works. And, so I'm sort of sitting here saying, oh, great, you get the parents in, you change the initial conditions, you alter the framework and so on and so forth. But it also makes me think of, although it's different, but Whitaker and family systems. Did that inform you at all, or was that just something that was interesting on the side? Or?
Yeah, so I had a professor that was Winnicottian, Michael Axelman, one of my professors in my clinical program, and he had that family systems, psychodynamic approach, and he just pretty much kind of taught me, a child is nobody without his or her mother, and so you kind of. I didn't have like an amazing family systems class. It was more about this professor and the coaching that I got from him, the clinical supervision that I got from him. And if you really think about it, all clinicians complain about the family, but it's really difficult, I tell you, to really engage the parents, because they feel like they're going to be blamed or judged. So that is an art that I think I've been able to, it's almost like a slow dance that I do with them. But I make them feel very comfortable.
And this is one of the things where I'm looking at the work and seeing how you brought your own particular framework to that. Because of course Whitaker would have everybody in the room. He said, you bring everybody. I want uncle, aunties, cousins, and grandmothers. And that was a ball game, but it was a different ball game to this idea that you find that I actually can work individually, bring couples. So you sort of differentiate the system in a really beautiful way, and I'm suspecting that what that does is it eases the amount of potential embarrassment or shame or guilt that can come up when everybody's in the room. They can be a little bit more open about some of the stuff.
Exactly, and I have very much respect for this little part of our brain called the amygdala. And if that little creature gets dysregulated, then nothing is going to work. And when you have adults and kids in the room, even the language that they're speaking There's different themes in there that might not pertain to the children. But most importantly, I'm all about one-on-one relationships. And even with couples, when I do work with couples, most of my work I do with them individually. And then I bring them in together, almost kind of like to pass the test, so to speak. But most of the work, I'm doing coaching them individually. And then they do their work, whatever I coach them individually, then they do it at home. But it's not a homework, because my sense is that usually when couples therapists give couples homework, they don't do it. But the way that I work with them, they do it because it's not a homework. It's almost like they're understanding themselves in a way that they didn't understand themselves. And they're realizing that there can be as hurt as their partner. And they eventually realize that even though they might think that I have these two little Australian porcupines I bought in Australia at one point. I don't know what you call them, those creatures. They're kind of weird looking.
The echidna.
Those things, yes. I have glass things, and and I tell them, like, you get together and you poke one another, and you don't realize that even you will blame one another for the poking, but in reality, the pain comes from an unresolved wound from the past, and you both are victims. So I'm going to help you to help each other, to heal one another. So it's a very collaborative. There's not an enemy here. No, I don't single anybody out. It's more of like, you're going to help one another. Perhaps you didn't get a secure attachment when you were little, but now it's your opportunity to do it. And I'm going to work with each one of you so that you can help one another.
Well, if you want to know more about the science of psychotherapy, come across to our website, thescienceofpsychotherapy.com, and our podcast of the same name, and learn more about the science of you.